Okay. Let's see whose participants are starting to come in. We're going to wait just a couple of minutes for everybody to trickle in, and then we'll get started. Okay, I think we can get started. Let's see. Somebody said they had trouble getting in. Well, you're in now, so let's hope that everything was resolved. But anyway, I wanted to welcome everybody. My name is Dr. Tina Zarpour. I am the Vice President of Education and Collections at the San Diego History Center. I really want to welcome you to tonight's program. We're excited to have you here. Welcome to San Diego History Center virtually. And tonight's program is special for us. Today is Cinco de Mayo, and I think it's appropriate that we have a program on history and legacy, specifically the history of Chicano Park. And as told in a way that's a little bit different than what we usually do here at the History Center, as told through a children's book and a hands-on art workshop, which is very new for us, and I'm super excited about that we'll all be participating in a little bit. My first exposure to Chicano Park was as a young 20-something-year-old exploring the park as a visitor over 20 years ago. I'm not a native San Diegan, nor even Californian, but rather consider myself a proud Tejana with deep roots in South Texas and being raised in San Antonio. My experience with Chicano Park over 20 years ago was a revelation. It was one of those few places in San Diego that felt like home, yet it was utterly different and unique. Chicano Park has an incredibly rich history, from its founding in 1970 to now as a place used for gatherings and ceremonies and festivals and families and cultural expressions of all sorts. When you are in Chicano Park, your senses are alive and your skin tingles. It is a place marked profoundly by the human spirit, by resilience, and of course, by art. It has been designated as a U.S. National Historic Landmark. It houses the largest collection of community murals in the world. This evening, I have the pleasure of welcoming our two esteemed guests, Bea Zamora and Maira Meza, who are the creators of the book we are focusing on tonight. Let's see if you can. Okay, it's a little bit backwards, but you can see it, right? Beatriz Zamora Aguilar is a retired educator and lifelong community leader. Her formal education includes a BA degree in sociology and ethnic studies and an MS degree in counselor education. Her work in the community has revolved around teaching and learning about indigenous traditions of Mexico and the southwestern US. Bea is committed to social justice and equality for all. And since I believe retirement, has a particular interest in developing literature for children that focuses upon culture, history, and social justice. Maira Meza is a native San Diego artist and the owner-operator of Arte Hasta la Muerta, and also the illustrator for the book. And she'll be the one giving us the workshop after our reading. So with that, I want to welcome both you ladies tonight. And Bea, why don't you take it away?
Okay, well, thank you very much, Dr. Zarpour. I'm very happy to be here today and to share something that for both Maida and myself is a very special piece. And, you know, I was an educator for many years and worked in the California community colleges, and I retired in 2015. But while I was in involved with the community colleges, I started to work with a program called the Puente Project. And it was through that project, probably 25 years ago, that I discovered how much I really loved creative writing. And so I wrote my first story for Chicano Park back in those days. And then I put it away as I continued to have a career and raise my family. And so now that I've retired, I got back to my bucket list, number one, which was to get some children's literature out that is culturally relevant, where children can see themselves and feel good about their history, and that folks coming from other cultural backgrounds can learn to appreciate their neighbors. And so I am going to treat you all like children today, and I'm going to read you a children's book. And at the end, I'll be happy to share some information from the back pages of the book. And then during the art show and art workshop, you'll be able to ask any questions that may arise as we move through that portion of the workshop. So let me see how I do this. I think I'm already sharing screen. Am I? Not yet. Okay. Here we go. So the name of the book, and you know what? I'm going to change the view to, let's see, here it is. I'm going to go ahead and go with 2 pages. So the name of the book is The Spirit of Chicano Park, El Espíritu del Parque Chicano. It is bilingual, although today I will just be reading in English. And it was written by me, Bea Zamora, and illustrated by Maira Meza. And thus far, our little tiny book that I call the Little Book That Could has won 5 book awards, some being national, some international, and 1 local book award by the Save Our Heritage organization here in San Diego. The book is dedicated to the people of Logan Heights, the Chicano Park Steering Committee, and the artists, dancers, musicians, lowriders, and organizers who have given of their heart and spirit to the establishment and ongoing care of Chicano Park. Also, special acknowledgement to Senora Laura Rodriguez, Senor Rico Bueno, Senor Jose Gomez, and all of our antepasados, our ancestors, who dedicated their time and energy to the park when they walked this earth. And it is dedicated to all the children who are our future, especially my grandson, Dante. And lastly, to the Kumeyaay Nation, the original caretakers of this land. So let's start. Let me see if I can move this here. Okay. Betty and Bonky helped unpack boxes at their new home in Barrio, Logan. Mama said, Betty, this is our new home now, and we will live here for many, many happy years. You'll see. I know, Mama. I just wish I didn't have to leave all my friends and my old school, Betty said. Let's take a break and explore. I saw an amazing park down the street, located in the most peculiar place, under a bridge, said Mama. Come on, Bunky. Maybe there is a playground with swings and things, said Becky. There might be something to like about this place after all. When they arrived at the park, Betty said, Wow, this park is different. It feels alive and sort of magical. As they walked through the park, they were surrounded by massive, colorful images. Giant, vibrantly painted pillars were everywhere, some so large they touched the sky. You know, I'm thinking that the single view is probably better because it's a little bit off. I'm going to go back to single view. So some so large they touched the sky. Monkey said, I wonder who this lady is. Suddenly, a warm, gentle breeze blew in, and a senora appeared. She said, Oh, you're looking at a painting of me. That was long ago. We never imagined our park would become so famous. Startled by her voice, the children looked at the old lady and then at the painting. You look exactly the same, said Betty. I used to walk through this park every day just to make sure things were all right, said La Senora. As she walked on, she said, Look, these murals depict the park takeover. It all looked so different then. What was the park takeover? Asked Betty. Well, when I was just a little girl, this was my neighborhood and it was my home, and we called it Logan Heights. We loved our barrio. And then things started to change, said La Senora. In the early mornings, the delicious aroma of fresh baked pan dulce from La Panaderia filled the air. In the afternoon, the rich toasted corn from La Tortilleria smelled so yummy. It was all here in our barrio. There were lots of houses right here where we celebrated happy times with our families, she said. Then things changed. Bulldozers destroyed many homes to build the Interstate 5 freeway and the Coronado Bridge. My best friend lived over there, but when her house was demolished, she vanished with the wind. I never saw her again, she said. Did the bulldozers just show up one day and rip out the homes? Asked Bunky. Well, it kind of felt like that. The government bought the homes for a very low price, and even though my friends and family didn't want to move away, they had no choice, she said. It doesn't seem fair. Didn't anyone speak up? Asked Becky. We didn't know what to do. People were coming and going, and we just thought no one would listen to us, said La Senora. Wow, they just came and tore out all the homes and built a freeway and a bridge. That's crazy, said Becky. This place became a big empty lot. It looked like a deserted planet, said La Senora. Our beautiful barrio was under attack. Stinky junkyards, yonques, and toxic factories invaded our neighborhood. Dusty fumes and screeching noise from the construction filled the air. You couldn't even smell the pan dulce or the tortillas cooking any longer, said La Senora. That must have been really sad, Betty said. Much later, after many meetings, the city of San Diego finally promised to build us a park, said La Senora. But the story doesn't end here. One day, a neighbor called everyone and said, It's happening again. Come and see. We rushed over, and gigantic machines like vicious dinosaurs were ready to destroy the land again. But this time, they came to build a highway patrol station, she said. My friend, Jose Gomez, stood up and said, The government has betrayed their promise. First, our barrio was attacked and they took away our friends. They brought in junkyards and factories, and they built the I-5 freeway and the Coronado Bridge. And now they want to take this land for the police instead of building our park as promised. Ya basta. It stops now. Soon, like angels descending from above. Mothers with children and high school and college students joined us. We clutched hands and formed a human chain. We stopped those bulldozers in their tracks, said La Senora. We camped here for 12 days. That was the beginning of the park takeover. Friends brought food and blankets and plants and shovels, and we began to build our park, plant by plant, said La Senora. After many months, the city finally helped us build our park. Every year we celebrate April 22nd, 1970, the date we founded Chicano Park in San Diego, California, she said proudly. Is this a stage? Asked Betty. Yes, it's a one-of-a-kind stage, the kiosco. It is the heart of our Chicano Park, she explained. This is where all our celebrations begin. You see, Chicano Park gives us hope. The day we stood up for the park, we found our voice. We told the world that we mattered and would have our park, even if we had to build it ourselves, said La Senora. They walked on, and Betty asked, who are all these people painted in the murals? Oh, they were visionaries. Cesar Chavez, Dolores Huerta, and Ramon Chunky Sanchez. These murals reveal our Chicano history, said La Senora. We have much to be proud of. Walk around. Let the spirit of Chicano Park speak to you. See Chicano culture come to life through the dancers, musicians, lowriders, and our community champions. It's all here, painted for the world to see, and just waiting for you too, said La Senora. Chicano Park was designated a United States National Historic Landmark in 2016 by the Department of the Interior. The world knows about our park, she said. Come often to learn about Chicano culture and enjoy the park. But most importantly, find your voice and speak up for your beliefs and for the greater good. Power to the people, said La Senora. Betty said, I didn't know that Barrio Logan was so cool. We should learn about our history and defend the land because Chicano Park is important to us all. Bonky asked, where did La Senora go? She disappeared like magic. I think she's an abuelita angel watching over the park, don't you? Betty smiled and said, I guess this park really is magical after all. So that's our story. And as you've seen through the eyes of a mystical senora, that this park came about from people who cared enough to take action. They wanted a green space, a healthy space for their children to play, a place that really, I think of parks as something kind of sacred, because it's a place you go to really enjoy life, to take a moment to rest, and to be with your family many times. So in the back of the book, we've included several pages. This one just basically gives you an overview again of the history of the park and its importance to the community, and the fact that it was the law of eminent domain that came in and really forced the people to move even though they didn't want to. And here's a really great little timeline that just showcases what happened in Logan Heights, which is one of the first communities in San Diego. It's a very old community. And in those days, we had in place real estate covenants that really perpetuated segregation. So Logan Heights was a segregated community. It was diverse, but many different people of color lived in the region. And then when the freeway and the bridge came through, the whole neighborhood was dissected. Here's a picture of Tommy Camarillo in the middle with her family. And she really has been the heart of Chicano Park for many years. She leads the Chicano Park Steering Committee, which is a community volunteer organization that just oversees that things are being taken care of in the park. Um, for instance, this book, all of the funds that are raised from the sale of this book are being donated back to the Chicano Park Steering Committee and to our new museum. And the Chicano Park Steering Committee oversees the upkeep of murals. You know, you might imagine out in the, the elements with the rain, dust and everything, the fumes from the freeway, the murals need to be repainted from time to time. And new murals come about. And so the resources help us take care of the park and our celebrations. And each page has a message from the person that's being focused on for children. This is Josie Talamantes. She's a great community leader who helped us to gain many of the recognitions the park has received, including the National Historic Landmark. And her message is, be true to yourself, have fun and enjoy life. I think of my grandchildren, and that's what I keep telling them. Just be true to yourself. Don't be what everybody else wants you to be unless you want to. That is being true to yourself. Enjoy life and be happy. And here's a picture of David Rico and Irene Mena, who recently passed away, one of our elders. And they were involved very much in a group called the Brown Berets, who really stood for bringing community resources to the community. And they were some of the first people that helped to develop Chicano Park. And you see in the middle our symbol, La Tierra Mía, our land, Chicano Park in San Diego, 1970. So we just celebrated our 51st anniversary. And here's a picture of Guillermo Aranda. He was one of the first muralists. He had come out of the military from the Vietnam War, and he went to school and he started to learn painting and mural painting. He went down to Mexico City and he studied, and he started the mural process at the park. And Guillermo's message to children, but really for all of us, is follow your dreams. We all have dreams and visions of how we want to see things, but it takes a little extra to make it happen. We just can't be dreamers. We have to get out there and try. You would be surprised what you can do once you do that. So you have to pursue it. You have to make it happen. And here's a picture of Patricia Aguayo, one of our female artists. We have artists from all over the world and the country who've come to paint in Chicano Park. Most artists feel it's a real honor to be selected to paint. Victor Ochoa, another famous muralist, he's painted many, many of the murals in the park. And he loves to work with groups. Many times he works with students in the high schools or elementary schools, and they come and they help paint the art. This is a page dedicated to Isabel and Ramon Chanti Sanchez, both of them coming from a musical family. Here's a picture of the Alacranes, very famous Chicano music group back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And here's Isabel, a young woman when she married Chunky, and she has a ballet folklorico background. Her family came here from Texas, and here are the grandchildren that still dance the ballet folklorico at the park. And we've also showcased her sister, Teresa Enrique Caballero, and her daughter, Nopani. And here's a picture of many of the grandchildren of the Enrique family that are carrying these traditions on. This is a picture of Dr. Mario Aguilar and his grandson, my grandson, Dante. We are married, and we teach the indigenous traditions of Mexico, and we've been doing that for over 40 years in San Diego. Here's a picture of some of our dancers, and here's a picture of us dancing in New Mexico every year. And Mario's message to you is to be proud of who you are and to be proud of where you came from. Don't ever let anyone put you down because of the color of your skin, the food you eat, the language you speak, or the spiritual path you follow. But most importantly of all, be proud of where you want to go. And here's Rigo Reyes, and he's the leader of the car club Los Amigos, Amigos Car Club. And here he is with his famous lowrider at Chicano Park. And the reason that we showcase so many of these artists is because Chicano Park has a very interesting relationship with the community. And so many of these groups have been involved in founding the park and helping it to grow. And at the same time, the park has helped these movements to become established in the region. So we're very proud of our park. And if you would like to purchase the book and assist us with our fundraising efforts, I will put the address in the chat. It is toltecapress.com, and you can go to the internet and you can purchase it and we'll mail it out to you. And as I said, all the proceeds go back to Chicano Park and to our new museum that will be opening in the next few months, right on the grounds of Chicano Park. And if anybody wonders where it's located, you just get on I-5 freeway and you exit the Cesar Chavez Parkway, and it's right there by the Coronado Bridge where the two come together and meet. So I want to thank you very much for giving me your time today, and I hope you enjoy the next workshop.
Thank you so much, Bea. Before you go, I have a couple of questions as we transition over to the art part. First, thank you for that reading and the background. I actually think this book serves a dual purpose. It's obviously it's for children, but it's really for anyone, and giving, from the perspective of children and hearing from their elders really gives that first person, almost that first person point of view, which is very important and very rich. And secondly, all of that information in the back is well done, and there's so much of it, really, giving the background of what the park means to people and some of the different ways people have participated in the park, kind of not just in the past, but obviously ongoing right now. So what inspired you to do a book for children as the vehicle for this?
Well, I've been involved with Chicano Park for all the years that I was born in San Diego, and then I moved away, and then I came back as a college student, and I stayed. And I've been involved with the park for over 40 years. And it, as you say, it is a very special park. It has, it feels like sacred ground to me. And the reason it feels that way is because so many people have given of their time, energy, and love to create that park. And so I've been there many times when folks have come up to me and asked me questions, and I realize how little people know about the park. So I thought it was really important to write the book for children because they are our future, but to also write it in Spanish so that both children and their parents from various backgrounds could really understand the richness of the park. And the idea to showcase these community champions in the back of the book is really because I want children and everyone to know that we have community champions living right next door to us. And if you want to become a community champion, you find something you're passionate about and work towards it. It's a really great feeling to give of yourself to the community and then see happy faces and see people really enjoying the hard work that you've put in. So to me, it's a fabulous location, and it's one that we as San Diego should be very proud of.
And actually, we have one of those community champions that you featured attending our webinar. So welcome to Josie Talamantes. I wanted to mention that she was in attendance, as well as some other friends that we know as well. So thank you. Let's see. So this might be a question for both you and Maira, but I'm interested as a person that consumes books and consumes art, but hasn't actually made any. How that process of deciding, working together and deciding how the pictures, the art, and the words came together.
Well, I can start with telling you that I guess I'm a little bit, I don't know if the word's superstitious, but I think that things happen as they should happen, and we have opportunities to learn things along the way. So I attended one of Maira's paint workshops at the Centro Cultural de la Raza in Balboa Park, which, by the way, is celebrating their 50th anniversary. Um, and at the end of the workshop, I just really enjoyed painting with Maida and her style of communication. And so I went up and chatted with her about this idea I had about putting this book together. Um, and I asked her, have you ever painted any of the images from Chicano Park? And she just smiled as she's very calm and gentle. And she pulled out her phone and she showed me pictures of lowriders and murals and pictures of the park before it was built. And so I told her that moment, I said, you know what? I think we were supposed to meet tonight. And I want to know if you want to work with me on the children's book that really highlights Chicano Park. And she said yes, although later on she might have had some second thoughts about it. And we went on to meet together on a weekly basis um, and share ideas. And Maida, you can fill in more thoughts if you would like. But I think we did a pretty good job coming out of the gate with our first book.
Definitely, yeah.
Yes, it was definitely one of those, yes, I want to do it. And then I went home and I'm talking to Armando, my fiance, and I said, what did I just do? You know, I'm like, I was just, I still feel very honored, of course. And I just felt kind of unworthy because there's just so much talent out there. And, but I agree with Bea, we were supposed to meet. I have a love for the park, just like many other people do. So this project was very, very special and close to me. So thank you, Bea, again. I always thank her. But I think it was definitely one of those, I think we were supposed to meet. That night at the Centro Cultural, it was a blessing because I think I would do it once a month at Centro Cultural, of course, because of the pandemic, it hasn't happened. But I would do fundraisers. So 50% of the proceeds would go to the Centro. And that night we had 67, I believe, participants. So that was an awesome, awesome night. And like Bea said, it's a wonderful feeling when you give and when you find out what you are so passionate about. And I think that we're all gifted with something for a reason. So it's up to us if we want to just keep it to ourselves or do we want to share it to the world. So I always encourage, especially the little ones, whatever they're passionate about, keep doing it and give it away too. So I'm very, very blessed to be here with you guys and to share with you just a little bit of what I'm passionate about too. So thank you.
And I will quickly add that, you know, many times when you write a children's book, you send it to a publisher and then they find you an illustrator. And so you never really chat with the illustrator. But Maida and I were both on the same page. And I tried to give her all the flexibility that she wanted, but she wanted some guidance and input. So it really was a joint process. I think that it comes through as ringing quite true. You know, it's very accurate.
Okay, that's a great answer. Did you, just a quick question, a quick follow-up question. Did you guys have the words first and then kind of figure out together the illustrations that might go with that?
Yeah, actually, I wrote the first draft of this story 25 years ago, and then I put it in a drawer. And so I brought it out and I realized that I totally changed the story, but there's still some main themes that stayed there. So no, the story was first, and then we broke it up into, you know, page by page, and then we talked about what type of images could fill those pages. And then Maida did her research and came up with some great illustrations.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a great segue now to the art workshop. I'm going to be participating as well. I have my screen here, my canvas here that Maida sent me. I'll try not to key everything out. So Maida, tell us how we should get started, what we should do.
All right, so everybody should have gotten a material list. I am using, this one's a little bit bigger, I think, than what I sent. So this one is a 9x12, I believe, same thing as this. And I'm gonna just go ahead and zoom it to our work because you don't need to see my face right now. We're gonna see the work. So you should have at least 2 brushes, but if you have 3, perfect. I have a larger one, a medium round one, and then a smaller one for my details. I have a blow dryer. If you don't have a blow dryer, you can use a paper plate to kind of fan out your painting, or if you're working beneath a ceiling fan, that also works. Dry it throughout the process. I have a napkin, so paper towels or a rag, because acrylic paint doesn't come off of your clothes. It also doesn't come off of your furniture. So just be careful. Hopefully you guys prepared your workspace. I'm gonna scoot you guys in as close as I can. And then I have a cup of water for to rinse my brushes. Make sure you place it away from whatever it is you are drinking, because you don't want to drink your paint water. It happens. So paints, I have white, which you can't see, red, green, and yellow. And we're gonna go ahead and get started. So throughout the painting process, if you guys have any questions, feel free to let us know and one of us can answer. All right. Oh, and we also have a pencil. So if you have a pencil with an eraser, that will help with your sketch. We're gonna go ahead and sketch out the kiosco, or part of the kiosco that we have. And then we'll go ahead and work on our background. So I'm gonna go ahead and start sketching our kiosco, and I'm gonna start with the top part. So it's just going to be a line going straight across. I'm using a Sharpie because I want you guys to be able to hear. And then I'm gonna go ahead and come up. So this is the top of my kiosco. I'm using a Sharpie, so I can't erase, but I'm gonna try to get as straight as I can. And then we're gonna go ahead and add just this rectangle long space. So you can start right where we added this top part right at the corner, just bring that down and then across. Number one rule also I forgot to mention is to be nice to yourself. Remind yourself that you're doing this to relax. You're not gonna turn it into the next art show. So just remind yourself you're doing this for a nice therapeutic fun session. Be nice to whoever's painting next to you. Compliments are fun and nice. And then we're gonna go ahead and bring this down. And it slants slightly. Okay, so bring this part down. And when you place your second line to close this part up, just remind yourself that it is going to have two shapes on here. The greens are slightly smaller, but just to make sure you do it wide enough to where you have space for both of those colors.
Maira, is that other line should be parallel to this one?
Yeah,
Like
so
exactly
it's going the same way. So it's going the same way. Just leave enough space. And we'll stop right there. So I'll give you guys a minute or so to catch up to that part in case you need to do any erasing. And usually I start with the background, but I really wanted you guys to have a nice white foundation for our kiosco, which is why we are sketching it out first.
And you know, while you're sketching the kiosco, I'd like you to know that it was the Chicano Park Steering Committee that really helped create this design for the city. The city had in mind a colonial Spanish looking stage like you might see in Mexico. But the committee wanted something that had more of an indigenous flavor. It's very unique.
And was the painting, the design of the painting for the kiosco designed at the same time as well, or did that come afterwards?
I mean, the painting inside the kiosco?
Yeah, of the kiosco itself, yeah.
The colors, the red and the green?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I think that all came about in the early stages. But if you ever walk into the kiosco and you look up, there's a ceiling painting and it's beautiful. And that was done by, I'm trying to think of his first name, but his last name was Adame and he's from Texas. And he came to paint that, Felipe Adame, I believe. And it's beautiful.
Thank you, B. Okay, So with my larger brush, and you can go ahead and give it a rinse just to soften out those bristles, squeeze out the water. I'm working in my home, by the way. This is my dining room. So if you guys hear some background noise, that's probably my kids or my fiance or my dog Betty, which is in the book. Little, my kids got a little jealous that I put my dog in there. But that dog that you see in there is my fur baby. She's my best friend. I love her. Which I think they're actually building a dog park or something in Logan. Okay, so with my large brush, I'm gonna go ahead and load this with a bunch of white. And let's go ahead and place, even though our canvas is white, we're gonna go ahead and place white paint right inside this rectangle top part and our side one. And this is just straight white paint, which is why you probably can't see it on the camera. It's okay if you touch your sketch, no big deal.
Are we trying to stay inside the lines?
You can. It does have an outline. So you can stay in the line or you can go over it, whatever you feel comfortable with. If you go over it, you should still be able to see it. And that is okay as well. And with my paintbrush, still with white on it, I'm just gonna wipe some of my white off. I don't wanna completely take that white off, but I don't want too much white on there. I'm gonna go ahead and just tap it in my yellow to fill in this top part right here, because I don't want it to be super bright yellow. It's kind of like a palish yellow, and we're just using the colors that we have on our palette. I try to use as little colors as possible. That way it's easy and convenient for everybody to get their supplies. And you can rinse your brush whenever you're done. We will go ahead and add our background. And if this is something you guys enjoy doing, maybe you're painting with your family or by yourself, it's really therapeutic. It's a very, it could be stressful at times, but for the most part, it's like a stress-free kind of unwinding activity that you could do by yourself or you could do with your family and use it as a bonding opportunity. I do these on a regular basis. I try to offer them at least weekly free paint sessions. So usually during the night, we have family paint nights and we have people from all over our country, sometimes outside of our country. I've had China, Argentina, Mexico, of course. So it's a lot of fun. You guys are more than welcome to look me up and search me. All right, so we rinsed our large brush. We squeeze the water out because we don't want it to be too wet. So your brush should be moist, but not soaking wet, no dripping. And we're gonna go ahead and start with our background. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and pick up some red. And I'm gonna start with the top. So let's go ahead and start filling in our top. Trying to keep my strokes. So I start right at the tip. So right at the edge of your kiosco that you just placed. Try to drag that paintbrush as far as you can without lifting it up. And it just gives it a neater appearance on your canvas. So those strokes will go on a whole lot neater. And you can go as far down as you'd like. I'm gonna stop right about there. So for me, it's about 4 fingers. I usually play music too on my in the background. I just didn't check with you, so Tina, so that's why I didn't play music. But usually on my regular sessions, I like to listen to music and relax. It's very, very therapeutic.
We can play music.
Perfect. I'll set that up as soon as we start on our background.
And you know what?
Great.
I will post your website in the chat as well.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and rinse that brush. Rinse, rinse, rinse. Squeeze the water out. And before it dries, we're gonna go ahead and add some. Tina, did I send you orange?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So go ahead and place some orange. Let me just grab it. And if you don't have orange, of course, you can always just add your yellow and a little bit of red, and that will make some orange. But since we got orange, we'll go ahead and use some orange. So I'm gonna load my large brush with some orange, right about half of it. See how it's half of it? The other half will be yellow.
Uh-oh.
And let's go ahead and just start placing that right. You can go right on top of where your red ends. Okay, so right on top of it, just drag that paint and it gives it a nice little blend. See that nice little blend that it's giving it? So don't be scared to go on top of your red. You don't want to go up too far because you also don't want to take away too much of your red.
So here's mine, if you can see it. Should I go further down? It keeps keying out.
You can come right, see, okay, so see how yours is kind of like a red strip and then it's yellow? So go right on top of where you're redding your yellow orange tones, where they meet. Go right on top of it and start to smooth that out so that it gives it a nice little blend.
Okay.
Just don't lift your brush. Try to go as far as you can without lifting it. And then you can rinse your brush again. And I'm just gonna work with yellow and orange. And I'll start to add these tones coming down. Remember, try not to lift your brush. That way your strokes stay nice and long. You want it to be nice and streaky, so it shows the yellow, it shows the orange tones. And you also want to bring
again with yellow and orange, but look like you put more yellow.
So yellow and orange, that's what we're working with. So just yellow and orange. See how it's some yellow, some orange.
It looks like you have more yellow right now. Is that true, or you're just?
Yeah, so you'll be picking up more paint as you need it.
Okay, but I'm saying more yellow than orange.
Oh, yes, you do want to use more yellow than orange, just because orange is going to darken it up a little bit. So you want it on the lighter side. There is no wrong way to do it. We're all going to have different styles, different shades. So be nice to yourself, Tina. I believe in you. And then you want to go ahead and place it on this side as well. Okay, so we're just covering with our yellow and our orange tones, trying to stay away from our white, of course. And if you go in here, no big deal. Be nice to yourself. You can always add some more white paint. We're also going to add all of our red and green in here. If you're working with the canvas, you can also get the sides of your canvas. That way, when you hang it up, it's nice and filled in, unless you want to frame it, which looks really pretty when you frame it. We're just going to work our way down. And as you guys continue to fill in your canvas, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to play some music. I'm going to try to play some alacranes, which is what
That's perfect.
which is what, yes.
Chicano Park Samba.
Yes.
There's a song written that tells the story of Chicano Park as well. I remember when my children were little, they used to watch a gentleman on TV and paint pictures, and they were just mesmerized. It's really fun to watch.
Was that Bob Rossby?
I think so.
Yeah.
Curly hair.
Yeah.
Oh, they loved it.
Eric, Eric de la Rosa. Eric de la Rosa is also, he's an activist, and he recently just got in the steering committee of Chicano Park. He sorry, I got distracted trying to play this music. So Eric de la Rosa calls me the Chicana Bob Ross.
You do have a very soothing voice, so.
Oh, thank you.
See, that's why I knew I had to work with her. Well, besides that, we were having a glass of wine too while we were painting.
That's always relaxing. So this is a Chicano Park Samba, and I'll let you guys listen into the lyrics as we finish our background. In the year 1970, the city of San Diego, under the Coronado Bridge, lied a little piece of land. A piece of land that the community of Logan Heights wanted to make into a park. A park where all the chavalitos could come and play in, so they wouldn't have to play in the street anymore and get run over by a car. A park where all the viejitos could come and just sit down and watch the sun go down in the tarde. A park where all the familias could come and just get together on a Sunday afternoon and celebrate the spirit of life itself. But the city of San Diego said, "Chale, we're gonna make a highway patrol substation here, man." So on April the 22nd, 1970, La Raza of Logan Heights and other Chicano communities of San Diego got together, and they organized and they parked on the land, and they took it over with their picks and their shovels, and they began to build their park. And today, that little piece of land under the Coronado Bridge is known to everybody as Chicano Park. It began in 1970 under the Coronado Bridge in mi barrio in San Diego.
I also want to mention there's a wonderful documentary about Chunky by Paul Espinosa.
Very, very good.
Called, what is it called? Singing Our Way to Freedom?
Yes. And if you YouTube, you can find an old video done, documentary about the park as well, with interviews with some of those original.
My Kiosko leg is all wavy.
Oh, it's okay. It's abstract. It's abstract.
There's no firm lines.
So I'll give you guys a few more minutes to finish your background. I'm gonna add a little more red on mine. This song reminds me a lot of my childhood. My family, when I was born, my family lived in Logan. And once I was 2 years old, we ended up moving. But when my family lived there, my sisters, Ofelia and Isabel, they both were involved in the Mariachi Juvenil, which was at the youth center. I have a brain fart and I can't remember the name of it. Do you remember the name of it, Bea?
Radio station?
Yes, the Barrio station. And that's where they met Chunky and Ricardo Sanchez, and they both were in their music classes. So they both played the guitar and sang. So this song, I remember they came out. It was some kind of like Hey PBS special or something. So I remember just as a little kid watching my sisters on TV. So that was really cool. And watching the Ballet Folklorico when my family would go visit the park. And so it's a nice thing that my family, my dad and my mom, they found a sense of community, a sense of a second home for my family, for my sisters as well. And we ended up moving to Chula Vista, and we still, of course, stay connected. Not as much, but my sisters still perform. They still keep in touch with Ricardo when it comes to the barbecues and everything. So it's very reminds me of my childhood, good memories.
And you know, I'll add that in 2013, Chunky Sanchez, who is on the mural and singing, he was honored in Washington, D.C. with a National Endowment for the Arts National Heritage Fellow Award. And yeah, he was awarded by the President of the United States. That was a pretty cool thing for him and his family to go there and receive that.
Yeah. All right, guys. So we should have our background at least somewhat complete. And remind yourself too, if you guys don't end up finishing your project by the time that the Zoom session is over, this is something that you can continue to work on. There's really no end in art. That's one of my weaknesses, is knowing when to stop. So let's go ahead and move on to, we're gonna add all of our red parts into our kiosco, which I'm gonna use my smaller brush. You could rinse it, dry it out. If you feel more comfortable using your pencil, you can, but I'm gonna go ahead and use my brush. It's okay. Allow yourself to make mistakes. Sometimes those strokes are sometimes the best ones, so it's okay. Okay, small brush, red. Let's start with this one right here. I'm gonna go straight across, leaving a little bit of space. And then bring it down, kind of slanted, and close it up. And we will go ahead and fill that in. And if you guys have not been to Logan Heights recently, it's growing, it's beautiful. There's art everywhere. There's vendors. Every Friday now they now started a I think it's called Food Friday or Foodie Friday, where Logan Avenue is filled with food vendors of all sorts. So that's something new and exciting. La Vuelta is back, I believe Wednesday. Today is Wednesday, so I'm not sure today, but I know that they are coming back. And that is every Wednesday, the lowriders show off their beautiful cars on Logan Avenue. It's also something nice to check out. This one I will add upside down, leaving a little bit of space. Remember, it's okay to mess up. Be nice to yourself. Let's go ahead and change the song.
I realized my white wasn't all the way dry, so it turned a little bit pink.
A little bit pink.
Yes. And
Mine
I'm
is,
gonna add more red.
yeah, you can always come back and add a second coat.
Okay.
This next song I'm gonna play is also by the Lacranes, of course, and it's called Ocho. Ocho, I love. It's one of my favorite songs of them because just because I can relate so much. You know, it's I was born here. I'm a first generation Chicana, so my mom is from Tijuana, my dad is from Sinaloa. And just growing up as a kid, my first language was Spanish, and then I would go to Tijuana and still speak Spanish, but over here, of course, I was a little bit embarrassed with my friends. I didn't know what they're saying, and I ended up learning English and then forgetting a little bit of the Spanish. So now I'm a pocha, which a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Wasn't exactly sure what it meant at first. I felt emotional pain before I ever comprehended its verbal meaning. Ocho. It promoted self-hatred and confusion as to who I was and what I was doing here. Ocho. I wasn't like here. And then this one, we're just gonna go ahead and place the top. Ocho. Bring that down. I was Mexican. I look Mexican. But why did I have trouble speaking Spanish? Ocho. My name was Ramon when I started kindergarten. But by the third grade, everybody called me Raymond. Ocho. Couldn't speak no Spanish. I always brought burritos for lunch. Huh? Ocho. I began to realize that maybe I wasn't Mexican. Could it be that I was Spanish? But wait, my head was from Amuchi, Sinaloa. That's not in Spain. That's in Mexico. Ocho. Okay, so there's my top 3 ones. I'll give you guys a couple minutes to finish that. I began to question the implications of the word Ocho. Does the label really fit me? Maybe it does. And if it does, is it my fault? Ocho. I began to realize that I had absorbed the strengths of 2 cultures and lifestyles. Was that good or bad? Give you a close-up of this. Good. We're going to go ahead and add, with your pencil, which is going to be the safest to use, we're going to add a line to separate this. So these red ones are in front. The green ones are kind of on the side. So we're going to add a line to split them up. Okay, so I'm just going to add a line. My front one, where my red shapes will be, that will be a little bit bigger than my green ones. Just try your very best. Ocho, you know what? I am a pocho, a proud pocho. Proud because I have survived cultural denial and attacks on my soul. Ocho, Sibonte, yes. Soy Ramon Sanchez, but better known as Chunky. A little bit of that and a little bit of this. Okay, and then I will add my red shapes on this side. Quítate before I get mad and say, yo soy chicano, tengo color, puro chicano, hermano con honor. Cuando me dicen que hay revolución, defiendo a mi raza con mucho valor. Tengo mi orgullo, yo tengo mi fe. Soy diferente, soy color café. Tengo cultura, tengo corazón,
Y no me lo quita a mí ningún cabrón.
You ever
So
had
that,
the pleasure to meet Chunky, you fell in love with him because
yes,
he had a heart of gold.
yes, he really did. He really brought the life to the party. And then I'll add another shape right underneath that. Remind yourself it's okay to mess up. You can always come back to it if it really bothers you, or you can just leave it as it is. It's still a work of art. It's your work of art. This next song is Linda Chicana, which, if you listen to 92.5, Javier the X-Man usually plays it on Sundays. Beautiful song. Oh, very loud song. Sorry.
Written by Sam Constancio and Chunky Sanchez.
And we'll just keep on adding our shapes.
A new day begins. Grace and strength is in me. Though she suffered oh so much, she still has the golden touch. Just can't keep this woman down. She will always be around. She knows how to make things right. Sweet brown God is our life.
This is one of them songs that always kind of brings a tear, right? Right? You end up thinking of your mom or somebody close to you. This one hits the corazón.
Actually,
Heart.
Sam Constancio wrote this in honor of his mother. That's the story he tells.
Beautiful.
Cause she makes me oh so proud. She's my connection to this world. My mama and my baby girl. Just can't keep this woman down.
Okay, so there's all my red areas. I'm going to give you guys a few minutes to finish up yours. Now, in between the kiosco, you see some lines right in between our shapes, which you can always do with a small brush and your red paint. I'm going to let you guys do that on your own, but you can also use an acrylic paint pen, even a red Sharpie if you have a red Sharpie, as long as your paint is dry. I always tell the people that paint with me, it's working smarter, not harder. So if you're using your pencil and you said, I'm not painting though, it's all right. It's quite okay. You're working smarter. And you could rinse your brush when you're done with your red.
Somehow I can't get my trapezoid so perfect, and I ended up with 5 red instead of 4 red.
Oh, it's okay. This is actually cut off, so it's not full, so it's all right.
Okay.
You're good. And when I created this one, I was comfortable. I was, binge watching something and very, very comfortable. And so it's all right. Don't feel that it has to be perfect. Sometimes I can't even get it to look like my own artwork. So it's okay. And then I'm working sideways. So sometimes when I end up looking at it the right way, I said, oh my Lord. So everything is kind of sideways. So I'll sit down and kind of work on it some more. Since this pandemic hit, I had to go virtual. I was a little, of course, nervous, just like everybody else, because this is my livelihood. And I would go to different restaurants, bars, homes, and do paint nights. So paint parties, paint nights, do it for schools, just different organizations. And the pandemic hit, of course, things changed. So I was a little nervous, a lot nervous, I'm not going to lie, not a little. And it's like, what am I going to do now? So people, my regulars started mentioning, well, you should go virtual. I didn't even own a laptop at that time. So I was a little even more nervous. Wow. It's like, what am I going to do? You know, I work from my phone. There wasn't a need for me to get a laptop.
Virtual, yeah.
Yeah. And so I didn't have the equipment. So I invested in the equipment, borrowed my daughter's laptop, and it's a learning process. But since then, I've met so many wonderful families, and I started doing them for free, which I still do them for free. So it's been a little over a year that we've gone virtual, and it's just been a blessing in disguise. When something bad happens, something, you always try to look for the positive. So I've got to meet a lot of people. I've gotten feedback to where I'm in tears in bed crying of how these classes have helped. The mental crisis has gone up since the pandemic too. So it's very, very, very therapeutic. A lot of children with autism that join, and it helps. And it's just been a real blessing. And I get to throw in my twist as well. So you can see back there, I have Frida, I have the Virgen, I have calla lilies, and I got Chapulín Chilindrina, which is a old 80s Mexican, 70s, 80s Mexican TV show. So I like that I can bring a little bit of what I love for my culture into my classes. So you're not going to find a paint night that's going to paint what we're painting today, or even a nopal, which, who doesn't like nopales? So I love that I can throw in my culture and the love for my culture into my classes.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is great. I've never done this before, so.
Oh, cool. So now we'll add green. So rinse your small brush, and we'll add these green shapes over here. These are a little smaller.
And now you have to go visit Chicano Park so you can see what you've just drawn in person. Yes. And by the way, when things normalize a little bit more in San Diego, you can go to the Chicano Park Steering Committee website, and they also offer free tours that really help people understand the messages, inside the murals. And when the museum gets up and running, we're going to have installations, we'll have permanent shows, we'll have workshops, seminars. It's going to be awesome.
Can you talk a little bit more about the museum?
I only know that they're in the final stages. They are fundraising, even though the city has provided quite a bit of support. They're fundraising now to finish the flooring before they actually open the doors. And if Josie Talamantes happens to still be on the group, she wouldn't be able to speak though, right?
Actually, I don't think she's here. She said, great workshop, and I think she dropped off. So
she's been the spearhead behind that. And they have a website as well. I'm sure if you Google Chicano Park Museum and Cultural Center, you can find their website, and you can get more information about their plans to open. But it's right there in Chicano Park, and I know they're going to have some permanent shows. They want to highlight some of the art as well as some of the people who've been instrumental in creating the park. And I know that they've talked about doing some joint projects with the library and with the Centro Cultural de la Raza. So we'll see. Maybe they'll even work with the San Diego History Museum or Center at some point.
That would be wonderful. We'd love that, of course. You can't do, we all need collaboration and partnership these days in the nonprofit world, for sure. So that's how we can accomplish way more working together than not. So
Absolutely. So if you want to volunteer, go to their website. You can find out about opportunities to volunteer or opportunities to donate, or just find out when new workshops and things are coming up. Oh, good. You found the website, ChicanoParkMuseum.org.
Very exciting. So this painting actually looks pretty good by itself like this. So if you're nervous about adding anything else, you're good just like this. I feel like I kind of like it better like this, Bea. Uh, so we're gonna go ahead and add the bridge. Okay, so the bridge is over here playing before its murals were put on there. So this is the version of before the murals on our pillars at Chicano Park. So let's go ahead and use our black. So you should have a little bit of black. And I'm going to create some gray. So I'm just going to add some black to some of my white to create a gray tone. And we're actually going to use our medium one. Okay, so I mixed it with my small one, but I'm going to place it with my medium brush. Okay, we'll pick up some of that gray tone that we created. It's kind of on the darker side. And we're gonna start right at the upper right-hand corner. We're gonna bring it down to our kiosco. Okay, so from here, I'm gonna press my brush so that it opens up the bristles. And we're gonna bring that down to our kiosco. It gets a little bit smaller as it touches the kiosco because it just kind of gives it the illusion of closer, and then it gets smaller as it goes in. Goes further, and that's closer. I'm just gonna thicken it out just a little bit more. No wrong way to do this. Don't be nervous. With my small brush, I'm gonna pick up a little bit of my gray, but I'm gonna put a little white, mix it just to lighten it up a little bit. And we can go ahead and add that lighter gray right on the top part. Okay, so now we have like a lighter tone right on the top and a darker tone on the bottom. And the pillars that are holding the bridge, we're gonna place a T shape. So I'm gonna pick an area, stay right here, bring this down and across into kind of a T. So we'll add 2 T's. Or however many you feel that need to be on your canvas, but I think I'm gonna stick with 2. Once you have your T's on there, then you can start to thicken them out. So then you can start to give it a little bit of shape using, you wanna use kind of a lighter tone than what you have right underneath your bridge, just so that it sticks out and it doesn't blend in together. I'm just gonna thicken it out, kind of curve the bottoms. Doesn't have to be perfect, remember. And you can thicken out your further one, the one back here. So look at your pillars. Do you need to add more black? Do you need to add more white? I'll let you guys fix them up a little bit. And remember, you can always come back and touch it up once the Zoom session is over, which is usually what I do, especially since I'm sitting sideways. And then for my background, I added a bunch of just splatters and just different strokes in there, just to kind of resemble or represent all the artistic, beautiful murals and paint. It's just, now that you guys actually painted and you go and you walk Chicano Park, you'll be amazed at the artwork that's up and all the talent that goes in there. And it's a long process from the start to the end. I haven't had the pleasure of painting in murals, but it is on my bucket list. So one day it'll happen. But it's a beautiful place, and that's why I just added a bunch of just different strokes and different splatters. Splatters are always fun to do. You could do it with your medium brush. I'm gonna rinse my medium brush, take out all this paint, and we can add some splatters. So you can use, if you have a piece of paper that you can cover your kiosco when we add our splatters, that will help. I will start with my white. Gonna get a little bit of my water, and I'm gonna just let the water drip onto my white. So it's just adding a little bit of drips of water. It'll change the color of your white just a tad bit. So we're thinning out our white paint so that these splatters will work best. And what you're gonna do is, if you wanna get dirty, if you don't wanna get dirty, you can completely ignore this part, but it's fun. So you're gonna touch your bristles and you're just going to flick them. So that will bring that splatter onto your canvas. So flick and splatter that paint on there. If it comes up here, no big deal. You can always fix it, but that's what your paper's for. So either a paper plate that you can use to kind of cover your bridge, cover your kiosco as you're adding your splatters.
Who's the famous artist that does all kinds of splatter work? New York, I think.
Jackson Pollock.
Yes.
Mhm.
It's fun. And you'll just switch colors. So you can add your green, some red. I stuck with red, green, and white, the colors of the kiosco.
So we got a, as we're getting ready to wrap up, we got a question from Myra Herman. And I think we missed answering it because she had to jump off possibly. She said, this has been a fun workshop, have to run to another meeting. Will Maida's final product be on display at the museum? Thanks.
Well, that would be nice.
Maybe, but I know she could probably put it on her website.
Definitely.
So B, is the museum collecting things for exhibition and stuff like that?
Yes, they have collected some things. They're still in the process of deciding exactly what installations they want to begin with. So I think they said they wanted to start with artists, really commemorating the muralist in the park. I'm not on the board with that group, so I'm not, in tune with all the latest decisions, but I did hear that they want to start with commemorating the muralists.
Okay, so then after that, you guys can just continue to add your splatters. If you want to add just some random, very carefree strokes in there, you do that as well. So get creative, have fun. Let these brush strokes kind of release that anxiety that you might be feeling. It's a lot of fun to just let it go. And that's it, guys. You guys can always outline if you'd like to outline with any kind of markers. It's working smarter, not harder, remember. And that's it. So continue to add on, continue to have fun. And thank you guys for painting with me.
Thank you so much, Maida, and thank you, B.
You're welcome.
For joining us tonight and sharing a little piece of Chicano Park. I hope to be down there soon. I hope to see another Chicano Park Day, hopefully next year, live in person. And there's lots of ways we can learn about that very special piece of San Diego history. I'm not going to show my painting because I didn't make it past the red blocks. I did make the bridge. Actually, I will show it. So here you go.
Oh,
nice.
Yeah.
I can't do the splatters. I'm wearing a nice shirt, so I didn't want to get it on my shirt. Maybe later.
It looks beautiful.
I would
Thank
like
you.
to mention we just celebrated our 51st anniversary, and this year we actually did a virtual celebration. So if you go to YouTube and you search Chicano Park Steering Committee, I think it's Chicano Park Steering Committee 51, you'll find a whole list of videos of interviews and talks and just different people sharing history about the park. So you might find that really interesting.
Great. Well, we've got some additional thank yous and great sessions and everything in the Q&A, and I want to thank everyone for participating and staying with us until the end. And I certainly enjoyed myself. Hopefully you did too. And hope to meet again. San Diego History Center is, we're open Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays now from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. So come and visit us as well. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Good to
Bye-bye.
see you.